Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and for this video I thought we'd sit down and do some February doodles. Kick off lettering for February. I'm doing my absolute usual, finding the middle of the page and then finding the middle letter of the word February. For this it's the letter U, and I'm using one dot space to block out every single letter. The majority of the letters for February are going to be 3 dots wide, apart from an R, which is a very slim letter, so that's going to only be 2 dot spaces wide. I do have a free dot grid printable over on my website right now. It's the one that I'm using in this video, so if you did want to try out and practice some of the doodles that we're doing, then you can head over to my website, download this free printable and get your doodle on. I find a dot grid to be the easiest tool to use when it comes to learning how to block letter, especially when it's not necessarily in your journal. You can print something off and just practice how your letters look and using that one space dot for how you put your letters in. It's a really great tool, and I think the more that you practice, the better you'll get, and then the more confident you'll be at putting it in your own journal. So let's move on to creating a cute little heart banner. These are great to divide up space in your journal and a great way of adding a little doodle into your page. I'm starting with a big love heart that sits within 4 dot spaces, and then the next 4 dot spaces will have a smaller heart placed around that centre dot. I want space either side of the small heart so that I can add a little dot to connect the small hearts right to the bigger ones and make that nice big banner. And then it's a case of repeating that pattern until I've filled up the whole space that I want to fill. And because those little dots are much smaller than the rest of the doodles, I've switched to a thinner nib so that I don't get big black splodges and I keep that outline nice and crisp. And then lastly, let's move on to a nice big Valentine's Day inspired doodle. To sketch out a love heart, I've got my centre line, and then I'm going to go 2 dot spaces above that centre line as I come out for the arch of that love heart. I'm going to go around and down and back to the centre point, and I'm going to make each side symmetrical to each other. I'm going to have a ribbon swirling around this heart that comes across the front and loops around the top and the bottom. My lines will start higher on one side and lower on the other, and as I draw that ribbon coming round, I'm focusing on creating little S shapes so that I can get the movement of it moving back and forward. So I'm going to go in and outline some of this now because I plan on adding more doodles around it, but what I don't want to do is have my pencil lines confuse me as I put in more pencil. So I've just outlined this little one so that I know that that's fixed and that's done, so I can then go in and add an arrow. I like to put one big diagonal line through the whole thing when I'm doing that arrow, because I've done it so many times where I put the tip in and then I put the bottom in and I've not put a line and they don't join up, and so it looks like the arrow's considerably bent. And then lastly, using that centre line that I've drawn, that I've done through the whole doodle, I'm going to add one big love heart in on the whole doodle. This is the point where I realised that my tip of my arrow is probably a little bit shorter. I wanted it a little bit further along, so I've just pushed that up a bit, and then I can go in and outline the big heart. So it's a heart within a heart within a heart. But that will be the majority of this doodle. You could add in some words on that ribbon that you've put in the middle if you so wished. But for me, it's just about adding colour now. So I'm going to go in and try some Crayola Supertips. Again, if you're using a printable as opposed to being in your journal, it's a good way of trying out different pens and styles and seeing how your pens colour in and what sort of lines they leave. Doodling should be fun, and it all comes from just practicing and experimenting and finding what works for you. So with these doodles, I have used them in previous bullet journals. You can see here the big doodle on the left and my little banner on the right hand side. And that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you want to see more. And as always, I will see you all soon.